The Thomas Nelson House was home to Thomas Nelson, Jr., Governor of Virginia, Brigadier General of the Virginia Militia, and signer of the Declaration of Independence, and his family during the 18th century. The Nelson House is located in historic Yorktown, Virginia, on the corner of Main and Nelson Street.
Thomas Nelson attended school in England at Eton and then Trinity College at Cambridge, where he graduated in 1761.
The Nelson House is a great exhibit of Georgian architecture. Built by his grandfather, this type of architecture exhibited simple and balanced appearance that gave an impression of order and stability. Key features of Georgian architecture on the outside include triangular pediments above the front doors and cornices under the roof eaves. Nelson House has a unique example of these cornices, and their corners meet into fleur-de-lis.
Because they entertained friends often, the Nelsons had a large foyer, as did most houses of the time. Off of the foyer, the dining room was the largest and most decorative room of the house. Each room featured a marble fireplace for heat.
As you head upstairs, you'll notice the Georgian architecture continues throughout. Notice the two windows and the two doors on the sides. Some of the closets even had windows in them to keep up with the symmetry outside.
Looking out of his bedroom window, Nelson could see his garden where he enjoyed spending time experimenting with his vegetables. Today, visitors can sit on the benches in the garden and enjoy the scenery.
Venturing further into the garden, one can find a plaque and bust of Lord Cornwallis, leader of the English army during the Revolution. Many people believe that Cornwallis used the Nelson House as a safe haven during the war, but they are wrong. The whereabouts of Cornwallis during this time are unknown.
Spot anything peculiar on the wall?
Did you spot the cannonballs?
This happens to be another misconception about the property. Many believe that the cannonballs lodged on the side of the wall have been there since the Revolutionary War, when in fact, the people who bought the house after Nelson died, Captain George P. Blow and his wife, replaced them with replicas.
In 1814, a fire swept over Yorktown. The Nelson House was one of the few remaining buildings. Because the Grace Church across the street burned down, the Nelson House served as a church until a new one could be rebuilt.
The Colonial National Historic Park, beginning in 1974, restored the house for the 1976 bicentennial celebration and opened the home to the public.
This is the Nelson family crest. On the crest, 3 fleur-de-lis are shown, and as previously mentioned, the fleur-de-lis can be found throughout the architecture of the house.
An unknown fact about Thomas Nelson, Jr. is that he is a descendant of the ever most famous King Henry III of England.
During his time as leader of the Virginia militia, Nelson paid for many of the war supplies with his own money. His birth and death dates are wrong on his cemetery headstone, which is controversial because of the nice contributions he made to the Virginia militia during the war.
In 1967, the Virginia State Council for Higher Education named Thomas Nelson Community College in Thomas Nelson's honor. Nelson County, Virginia, and Nelson County, Kentucky were also named in his honor.
Just as Thomas Nelson Jr. was a strong leader to the state of Virginia during the American Revolution, his house has weathered the test of time through many hardships, including the American Revolution, the fire of 1814, and the Civil War, proving that it too is strong.